TPA has been, well, at least the legislative committee and our staff and the board have all been really busy trying to stay on top of new bills that are filed, things that are coming before committees, finding members of TPA that can testify, activating grassroots when we need to try to get votes we need on a committee or votes we need to stop something on a committee. And so we have really been preoccupied with trying to stay on top of that and make our advocacy be really effective. And I think we're doing a good job because most of our bills have made it successfully out of committees when they've had hearings. The ones that we've testified on in terms of telehealth, the audio only, how important that is for Medicaid recipients, the liability protection bill that I testified on, made it right out of committee, right to consent and calendars, and passed. And as I understand it, is now on its way to the Senate. So that's extremely good news. So I think we've done a really good job with our advocacy efforts. They've been successful in just about every circumstance. And we've had people just asking, what can we do? What can we do? And we really have not needed like a full press for any particular floor vote this session like we have in the past. But we have our grassroots team geared up and ready to go at a given moment. If we need them to activate the grassroots network, the committee actually activates the members of TPA that will then reach out to their respective representatives. So I think that the grassroots committee has done a great job of getting organized. We haven't needed to do as much as in the past, but again, everybody is poised and ready to advocate whenever we need them. So it's been really, really gratifying to see the response.
What did it mean to you to testify?
Testifying is a great privilege and a great responsibility. It's a privilege to get that opportunity to go before the lawmakers of our state and to be able to advocate for something important to our profession or to our clients, the people we serve. It's a more remarkable thing that we can do that, and that I personally have the ability as president of TPA to use that as a way to, make a statement that's important to me. It's also a tremendous responsibility because I've got to get it right for the people we serve in the community as well as for the organization. So there's a lot of thought that goes into it and a lot of assistance from the legislative committee, from the board in determining what our legislative slate is going to be like, what we're going to advocate for, and for me to craft the message when I'm testifying. And then there's also a real personal element to it, because what we try to do is to find members of TPA to testify on these bills that have some personal story connected to it. For example, I testified on the liability protection bill, and I was able to make reference to needing to screen patients for suicidality, and what a tremendous responsibility that is to a patient, how hard that is, and to know what's at stake potentially for that person if you violate their confidentiality in order to save their life, what that can mean, what the ramifications are, but also what would happen if you didn't, and I've lost a client to suicide, more than one actually, but it's a terrible, terrible thing. It's a terrible sense of responsibility and guilt. So every time you go through this process, you have to think about that. So to be able to share that with lawmakers, hopefully to make an impact on how important it is to take away that concern about being sued from this decision-making process that clinicians go through that's already fraught with all kinds of peril, you know? So I mean, it's a privilege, but it's a terrible responsibility too, to be able to get this right and to make your impact. Because you've only got 2.5 or 3 minutes. So you have to get a lot in there. So I've often said, testifying it's frightening. It doesn't kill you though. You know, I'm still alive. And the more you do it, the more you understand what goes into it and how you're really just really trying to share something about your practice that's impactful and will mean something to the legislators.
Yeah. And when I've listened to TPA members testify, it really is those personal stories that
Mhm.
are more impactful. I know statistics are also very vital, but when you hear something that affected one person, it can really touch you.
Yeah. I think that makes all the difference in the world, Dina. When you tell them statistics, yeah, 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 we know, you know, we can read about that or somebody can tell us. But when you tell them a story from your experience, I think it's very impactful. Our biggest accomplishment, I would say, is in terms of the advocacy we did for telehealth, because that is what is so important to not only our members right now, our members in private practice, but also to the clients and people in the community that we serve. Um, to me, the audio only portion of the for Medicaid patients is so important because people that don't have access to the internet are just lacking in so many resources, or if they're uncomfortable with the internet, that's kind of related. They still don't have those resources that support. So to realize that that telephone therapy is a lifeline for many people and that we were successful in advocating for that is probably the accomplishment that I'm proudest of in terms of successfully impacting not only the people we serve, our clientele, but also the members of our organization, because we have to always bear in mind what is so important to the members of the organization as well and balance that out. And in this case, it was also really a great way to bring people together as various aspects of the organization, because we were able to pull on the research that our psychologists doing research on the impact of telehealth um, and the tremendous increase in need for telehealth because of COVID. So it really allowed us to tap a lot of our resources to do something that I think is very impactful. I'm also very proud of the way we organized ourselves for the legislative session. There's so much that went on behind the scenes, but Jessica McGee, our executive director, and Kevin Stewart, our government relations person, and all the members of the legislative committee and grassroots, I mean, really pulled together and put a nice process in place for getting all of this work done behind the scenes. So what we do when we actually testify looks pretty seamless and easy. It's not, but that's only due to the great organizational skills of everybody behind the scenes.